Welcome back to another CG Figures tutorial. In today's video, we're going to be discussing how you can generally use an SEM image as a texture for any object and capture some of that specific aesthetic. We're actually going to be addressing human hair, which was based on a request that someone made in a previous video. So we're going to start by modeling our hair, and then most of this is actually going to be in the texture. Go ahead, hit X, delete the default cube, Shift A, and add in a cylinder. We do not want the default cylinder. We're going to need a good bit of extra geometry, so double 32 to 64, and make sure you've changed the cap fill type from n-gon to nothing. For the view that we're going to be using, we're not going to see these, and this top cap can often just distort textures. We don't want to do that. Make sure you also have this generate UVs box checked. We want those UVs default. With all that in hand, we're going to go ahead and just hit S, 5, Z. Namely, we're going to scale 5 times in the Z direction. With that all done, let's Control A, apply scale, right click, shade smooth, and then I'm just going to hit Control 2 on my number pad to add in a subdivision surface of 2. From here, we're going to hit 0 on the number pad to come into the camera view, double tap R, and just rotate until this is roughly the view that I want, something like this. And that's all the modeling done. From here, we're actually going to be doing pretty much exclusively materials setup. And there's one thing that I have to get out of the way right away. The original request for this was a kind of interesting zoom-in animation from a bigger hair into a smaller SEM micro-textured hair with skin. I'm not going to cover the skin here, I don't actually have the image for that, and the animation behind that would take quite a bit of time to explain. I may do separate videos in the future on animating transitions between materials and between macro and micro shots, even nano shots, but for the time being, let's just say we're going to focus on the hair. The way that I found this looks best is actually if you use cycles. So if you come to the render properties and go to render engine, I believe Eevee is the default, but you can change from Eevee to workbench to cycles. Really, cycles is actually going to give you the best results for the look that we're going to be after. It's what I use for the thumbnail for this video. Eevee is much faster, and so if you don't have a really powerful computer and you need to animate this, I recommend Eevee, but for still shots, cycles is going to be the way to go, and you'll see that as we go. So now we can actually go ahead and start setting up the scene. We're going to open 2 windows. First, we're going to change our top window to a shader editor, and we're going to change our bottom window to a UV editor. With all this in hand, we're now ready to do the material setup. So make sure you have Node Wrangler installed by coming to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and make sure this box for Node Wrangler is checked. You can search for it in the bar up here. Then grab your cylinder, hit New for a new material, select the principled BSDF, and hit Control T to bring up these 3 nodes. We're going to drag those over a good bit, just till about here, and then we're going to go hunting for the image texture. So generally speaking, this would be whatever image you have, and there are going to be some limits to this approach that I will show, but go ahead and hit Open. I'm going to navigate to where I have this tutorial, and the one that I'm going to use is this one. Now, down here in our UV editor node, you can see we have a few options. So we're going to bring up this, which is the human hair texture heavily modified, and this is just roughly a SEM image of a human hair that I have distorted a fair bit. Tab into edit mode, selecting your cylinder, and you'll now see the UV map, i.e. all of these rectangles, lined up over this. What we actually want to see though is how is this appearing on the cylinder. So hit Z and drag into material preview. And you can see they're there, but they're in the wrong direction. So we're going to fix that with our mapping node. To fix this with the mapping node, all we're going to do is come to rotation, go to Z, and change from 0 to 90 degrees. You may have to play with these values a bit to find the one that works for you, but this is the way that I want it. So you can see, generally speaking, this is all right. This would be serviceable, and this is actually what this would look like in Eevee right now. We're going to do a little bit more work to it just to make it a bit better. But we can actually get rid of this UV map for now, and we're going to highlight some of the features of why this isn't always the best approach. Namely that if this were very long and you had to make repeats, you might be able to see the stitching between the units, and as we spin to the back here, you can very clearly see the seam for where this is actually showing one part of the texture, namely the top, intersecting with the bottom. If that's really going to be a problem for you, you can try very painfully to make this a seamless texture at the end, probably in Photoshop or something analogous. Again, if this has to be accurate to the data, do not modify your data. But generally speaking, when you're looking at a hair in a render, you're looking at it from one side, so you can just choose the side that looks the best. I like this side. From here, we're actually going to modify the material quite extensively just to make this a little bit nicer, and also somewhat accurate to an SEM. To start doing that, we're actually going to switch back to Eevee because I want to be able to show the Eevee settings for this. And the first things that we want to turn on are ambient occlusion and bloom. Now, bloom might seem like a bit of a weird choice right away, but we actually want these edges to maybe be able to glow a little bit. Generally in SEM, the whiter edges are where you have charging from the electrons, and an overly technical explanation is incoming. The point being that those are often brighter, and we want to actually make them brighter. Conveniently, we have this wonderful dark and white map provided by our image texture. And so the way that we're going to do that is just make that a little bit more obvious. So Shift-A, Converter, Color Ramp, and we're going to connect the color ramp into the factor of our image texture right there. And with Node Wrangler enabled, this is a feature available to you. So hit Control, Shift, and left click, and now we can actually see what's going on in this color ramp. So I'm going to bring this in, and you can see I can now isolate the dark and white patches by using these two sliders and refining sort of where they are. So I actually just want to bring this black in a little bit, and all of these little specks, all of these little edges are now something that I'm going to be able to use to separate two different textures. One is going to be our principled BSDF. The other is going to be an emission shader. So Shift-A, shader, emission shader, and then again, just select this first node, shift and select this second, and if you hit Control-0 on your number pad with Node Wrangler enabled, always with Node Wrangler enabled, then it will bring up this mix shader. To control where the two different effects are being shown, we're going to use this color ramp. We'll take the color and we'll plug it into the factor here. And then we'll plug this shader into the surface so we can see what's going on. Now, this may not be immediately apparent what's happening, but if we actually go ahead and change the strength of the emission up to 10, you can now see that the white parts are very obviously white, and the other parts are being controlled by the principled BSDF. You can also control that a little bit with the roughness, etc. I actually find a roughness value of about 0.65 is pretty good for the principled BSDF for the hair, and I usually want this glow to be a bit less prominent, so we'll drop it down to maybe 2. You do need to have bloom enabled to be able to actually see it glow, so if you were to bring the strength up to 10 and not have bloom enabled, it wouldn't be as obvious. It will still be apparent that it's glowing. You can see that through the color change here, but if you want to shine a little bit at you, you have to have bloom enabled, and that is the sum of essentially the Eevee settings that we need from this panel. To add a little bit more interest to it still, we're going to add bump. So Shift-A, vector, bump, and very simply connect your color into the height here, connect the normal into the normal, and now you can see we have all this sort of fake texture. That's a little bit strong. I'm going to drop that down to about 0.2, maybe 0.4. Really dealer's choice here, but that's just going to add a little bit of extra to this approach. Again, I think that 10 is a bit strong. Let's drop it down to maybe 3. Now, there are two last things that we're going to do here. One is that we're actually going to add a color ramp between here and here so that we could control the color of this fiber or general SEM image. And then the other is we're going to switch into cycles and do the render setup there. So Shift-A, converter, color ramp, put it in right there. And now you can actually see I can control whether or not this is darker or lighter. And not only that, I can actually change what color it is if I want it to be a different color. So I could have this be blue. I could also have this actually fade away into something else. So it's a little bit green tinged. It's not obvious why it's not green, but that's because actually the emission is controlling the color over here. And all of that is being governed by this node. This is a bit complex for a typical tutorial, but it's not necessarily an easy thing to do, so we're going to focus on basically getting this done nicely. So essentially, this is the sum total of what I would do if I wanted to make this an Eevee. I have my SEM image, I've mapped it onto this cylinder, I rotated the texture so that it's in place the way I want. I'm using a color ramp to control sort of the breakdown of the colors. I use a separate color ramp and emission shader to control the charging effect, how prominent those little spots are. I can use this color ramp to choose where that effect shows up or doesn't, so very fine edges or much wider edges. Both of those are sort of available. And finally, I use a little bit of bump to make this pop out a little bit. Now we're finally going to get to the part where we make use of the subdivision surface, extra geometry, and really make this look good in cycles. But first, we're just going to quickly change from object to world, and we're going to add in an environment texture, namely an HDRI. I've shown this before in other videos, but we actually want to use the default ones available in Blender, so I'm going to go to World, which is actually just in your Blender Foundation files, so wherever it's installed. Program files, Blender Foundation, this is 2.83, 2.83 again, data files, Studio Lights, World, and I am using Forest, which is the default one. We're going to then come to Film, Enable Transparent, and the reason we have to do all this is because when we go to Z in Rendered, now you can actually see what we will see in the final rendered scene, and we'll switch the render engine to Cycles. Now, by default, this doesn't actually look any different. It is pretty much the same. This is just the Cycles version. So if I switch between Material Preview and Cycles, you can see a little bit of influence from this default scene light. But as soon as we hide that, they're pretty similar. Where we're going to really take advantage of Cycles is in the material setup. So grab your cylinder, come down to the material properties. Under settings, we're going to come down to surface, displacement, and we're going to change bump only to displacement and bump. Then we'll hit Shift A, add in a vector node, displacement. We're going to put that just about here. We'll plug this into the displacement on the material output. You can see that shrunk enormously, which might seem kind of weird, but it's because we haven't defined it yet. And we're going to grab the image texture all the way back here and choose height. Now, if your image looks really kind of unusual and distorted after you've plugged the height in, it's because Blender doesn't have enough geometry to actually manage this displacement, so we're going to have to add that. Tab into edit mode, Control R, and just scroll up on your mouse wheel until you've added a good number of loop cuts. I'm going with 75 in this case. You can see now that's cleaned this up quite a bit. This is obviously way too strong an effect, and to bring that down, we're just going to come to the displacement scale and drop that to about 0.1. Maybe 0.2. And so now we can really see what the difference is between Eevee and Cycles. So this actually has some physical displacement on this mesh. We're actually using this subdivision surface to add even more geometry for it to displace. But if we were to switch back and forth now, so let's hit Z and come to Material Preview, now you can see that this is much flatter. It still looks pretty decent, and I think you could get away with an animation, but if you hit Z and come up to Rendered and view the Cycles one, you now have this actual physical displacement of this human hair, and it offers you full ability to control things such as the color, how dark it is, where the charging effects are, how strong they are. You'll actually often see in some of these that SEM images tend to have this kind of unusual yellow palette going on. I don't really know what the case is. If anyone knows, please feel free to throw it in the comments. But it's just something that I have observed. So you can control the color tone, you can control the extent of the bump, you can combine the bump with the displacement, control the extent of the displacement if you want this to be a very prominent effect, or even just like a bit of a subtle add-on. But as mentioned before, if you actually want to use Cycles, I recommend that you do it for single frame shots. If you want to do something in animation, Eevee is probably going to give you a better time. In any case, this is a very long video. It took a little bit of time to organize my thoughts on this one. So hopefully you found this interesting and compelling. This was actually done based on a request from someone in a comment in a previous video. If there's something that you would like to see that is science themed in Blender, go ahead and throw it in the comments. I'll take a look, and if there's something that I think is doable, I'll happily give it a shot. So as always, thanks for coming out. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, consider subscribing, sharing with your friends and colleagues, hopefully use it to go make some figures. And until next time, you have yourself a great old day.